Welcome, everybody, and thanks for joining us again this month for Cloud Bites, a Sage Intacct educational series hosted by Dean Dorton. Today, we're going to take a look at some of the not so overwhelming AI features in Sage Intacct with our Software Services Director, Philip Massey. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please use the Q&A icon to ask. I'll be monitoring those throughout the session, and I'll make sure to get them to Philip during the Q&A period at the end. We'll also have some polls popping up throughout today's session as well. If we don't get to address your question today, contact information will be included at the end of the session and also in the follow-up email that you'll get about a week from now. This webinar is being recorded, so you'll also get a link to the recording and the slides in that follow-up email as well. And Philip, over to you.
All right, Nikki, thank you so much. So pleasure to be here with you today. As Nikki said, we're going to talk about AI or artificial intelligence. And we're going to kind of approach it from a standpoint of what it can do for you rather than what it can do to you or against you or any of those things, that we might have had thoughts about or been trepidatious about in the past, right? So we're going to take it from a very human approach to what can AI do for you. So some of what we'll talk about today. We're going to start things out with the new Copilot in Sage Intacct. I'm anxious to show you that. I hope that you all will very much like it. We're going to jump in then to some things that really have been around for a while. I just want to make sure that you're aware of them. First and foremost is collaboration or collaborate. We're going to make sure that you all know that collaborate is there and what it can do and how it can be a benefit to your organization. And you can make an argument, hey, that's not really AI. I get you with that. It's not really AI, but it can save you a lot of time nonetheless. We're also going to talk about bank feeds, the automations behind that and the intelligence that can be in those bank feeds. And then we're going to jump into some real world strategies and some things that you can do today to kind of help make a difference in your organization. Now, it depends on who I'm talking to in the crowd here. And of course, a lot's made about different generations and things like that. But I think this kind of has spanned a number of different generations. So when I start thinking about or talking about AI, there are a number of things that can come up. One of those would be kind of one of the more obvious would be, let's get those bay doors open, Hal, and Hal 9000 coming back very calmly and saying, I don't think I can do that, Dave. That iconic scene from 2001, A Space Odyssey. But one of the others that definitely comes to mind is a guy, and hopefully we don't see him in any other slides we're talking about today. See here, hopefully he's not going to be back, anything like that. But I kind of want to take us away from these types of thoughts with AI and take them to things that would be more human-oriented, more human-led, and less cyber, less machines. So we're going to start things out here with a poll question, and the wonderful Nikki is going to help me out with this. So if you guys could answer here, please choose any of these that you are already using inside of Intacct or in your life in whatever way. And hopefully there's one there that we don't get anybody to choose, or two that nobody chooses. But let me know which of these that you might be using already. So kind of gauge where folks would be in their processes. So, all right. So we're getting some results back. Good. Okay, so a little bit of Copilot search, a little bit of Collaborate, some bank feeds. Doesn't surprise me that there's a 0 by GL outlier detection. So that's something we're definitely going to talk about today. And then the bank matching and creating rules, we'll definitely talk about those. Okay, wonderful. All right. Thank you for that. Always kind of helps to level set where we are as an audience and those types of things. So really appreciate that response there. So let's jump into it. Now, this is the newest of the new. So these are the things that you probably really haven't talked much about, heard much about, unless, of course, you went to the future conference, that is. If you went to the future conference and you saw some of the presentations by Aaron Harris and others that were there who talked about this functionality. The other important thing to say and to talk about here real quick is the things that we're going to talk about today when we go through the Copilot and the other features that we're looking at inside of Intacct and all the advancements that are going to be made there in the coming months and years is the big difference between what we're talking about here and, if I may, what we're talking about here is, as Intacct labeled it, they're looking to build trusted AI into the system. And they really want to focus on that word or that branding of trusted AI. It's not just going to be artificial intelligence. It kind of brings to mind I am on a board of a local community theater here, and we've got auditions coming up for our next production, which is Peter Pan, by the way, in November. If you guys are close to the Raleigh area, hit me up. I'd love to get you some tickets to come see it. But anyway, shameless promotion. I was sending out a blast because I'm the social media person for the community theater as well, kind of elected by, I think, everybody else stepping back. I'm the only one that was still standing forward. But I went to ChatGPT and I said, give me a catchy way to kind of announce these auditions. And I was in a bit of a hurry and I didn't check it truthfully as much as I should have. And it gave me something, and I read parts of it, and I thought, man, that's beautiful. That's really nice, very catchy, very good to go there. So I scraped it, I took it over into, we use MailChimp, I put it into MailChimp, laid everything out, sent the email out, and within about 30 minutes, I got a question asking, were the auditions on Sunday or Monday? And I thought, well, it's Monday, obviously, that's the date I put. And make a long story short, ChatGPT had gotten the wrong year involved in the process, and I didn't check it well enough. And so what I thought was a trusted AI turned out to be something that got me about 14 questions out of it for people who were going, is it Sunday? Is it Monday? Are we, time traveling to do these auditions? What's going on here? So that is one of the big distinguishments with what we're talking about today is trusted AI. So let's jump into it. We're going to talk about some Copilot features. The goal of what Intacct is doing with Copilot is truthfully the same goal that Aaron Harris, Chief Technology Officer and one of the originating founders of the Intacct organization and program, wanted, is this concept of a continuous close. In other words, not having to even take a day at the end of a month in order to ensure that our books are closed, our financials are accurate, everything's been checked, we're as balanced as we can be, etc., but rather having that be something that is just happening all the time, 24/7 within your instance. And unless you're willing to dedicate that kind of time to your environment, which I really hope you're not going to be able to do that by yourself. And that's where the software comes into play. So one of the main goals he's had is a continuous close. That's the concept of always being ready for an audit, always being ready to print your financials, to close your month, to move on to the next periods, et cetera. Right? So that's a lot of what we're talking about today. The first thing that kind of goes in with that is readily available to everyone right now is search help with Copilot. Now, I have long considered the help inside of Intacct to be one of the best components of the application. Now, certainly, I think there are a lot of great tools inside of Intacct. There are a lot of great functions and features and things like that. But definitely one of those, to me, has always been the help. But this does take it up to that next level because of the natural language capabilities. So in other words, you don't have to speak exactly right to the system. You could say, for example, how do I enable collaborate? How do I use collaborate in the system? Much as you would Google something, much as you would talk to ChatGPT with things, you can now go into the help inside of Intacct, use Copilot, and use natural language. And it's going to return back an answer for you. It's going to turn back a series of steps for you if that's applicable to it. But it's also going to return back, as you can see in the image here, it's going to return back to you links to further assistance in the help as well. So we asked it a question. It came back and said, we said, how do you approve a bill in Intacct? To approve a bill in Intacct, you do these things. If you have multiple approvers, etc. And by the way, here's a link to the help documentation on approving a bill in Intacct. Now, we talk about today, we talk about collaborate, and you think, hey, collaborate would be great. It'd be great to have that exchange inside of Intacct. It'd be great to keep everything centralized. Gosh, let me ring up Dean Dorton so that I can get them to help me get all this set up and things like that. And yes, we would be more than happy to do that. We're more than happy to answer any questions you have. But one of the things Philip also talked about is this search help with Copilot. So let me go try this. How do I enable collaborate? How do I enable and use collaborate in my environment? And it will return to you a series of steps to do in order to make that happen, and links to additional help inside the system. One of the things people don't take advantage of in a lot of cases, though, is this section here. Was this helpful? So was this answer good, right? If I'd have had that with ChatGPT, and in fact, I did go back to kind of a, well, funny and sad story. But I did go back and scold ChatGPT for giving me the wrong date, day of the week combination and giving me 14 different answers. And it was really sorry that it had done that to me and so forth, but and said that it would promise in the future to try to get the days correct. But this is where you can give feedback here too. So don't forget this little part right here. Was this helpful? Yes or no? That's the only way the system is going to get any better, right? So use that. So search help with Copilot is something that everybody has right now. It's something that everybody can take advantage of right now, and it can further enhance your use of the system and your the advantages in the system that you would have. Now, the next couple things we're going to talk about, I will preface by saying the rest of these Copilot features, there is a cost. Okay, so just to be upfront and honest with you, there is cost for these. But I do think that as you look at them and as we begin to delve into what they can do, and again, we're happy to talk more about it with you, kind of, pre-sales, talking about add-ons, Tabitha Smaltz, myself, anybody else could have good conversations with you about it if you want to vet it before subscribing. But this is called the Copilot Variance Analysis. And basically what it is intended to do is to find, you guessed it, variances. So this is the first part of the new close automation overall solution. And it's intended to help your review process, and which is kind of often really a bottleneck with finalizing and publishing financials, right? Making sure that you You have your GL tied out to your subledgers. Make sure, are we anywhere way over budget in certain areas or anything like that? So it's helping you do a lot of that variance tie out. And the great thing about this is it is at your fingertips if you subscribe to it. You don't have to have a financial report that you wrote. You don't have to have a Power BI report that you wrote. You don't have to pull multiple reports together. It's something where controllers, CFOs, you can quickly spot accounting errors and any kind of significant variances, right? Something that normally takes a lot of manual effort, generating reports, things like that, now can be condensed down into one simple question within the Sage Copilot, right? So again, moving you towards something that would be considered a continuous close, because you could pull this up anytime, any day, and check your variance analysis. So this one is called the Copilot Close Assistant. Again, just to be perfectly clear, there is an additional subscription cost for this. And if you have any questions about costs or anything like that, which I'm sure that you probably would before you do subscribe to it, reach out to us. We'll be glad to vet through the process with you as always. But this is designed to help you manage your month-end close process really with greater structure, right? And hopefully with that, a lot less stress, less agony, and less effort, more efficiencies, doing more with less effort is basically where we're trying to get for you there, right? You determine which critical closing tasks are right for you: accounts payable, accounts receivable, cash management, GL, and you get to look at all of it from one centralized dashboard. From there, you can click in the Close Assistant and it will navigate you or take you directly to the source of any issue. Maybe it's a draft journal entry, maybe it's an open bank rec, things like that, so that you can resolve these pieces, parts, and components quickly and easily and make sure that everything is aligned for this month-end close. Now, again, this is a Close Assistant, but it is going to be at your fingertips. So you could pull this up quite literally at any point and look through the pieces here, whether you want to say, hey, what do we need to do in accounts receivable? Do we have any kind of unposted invoices sitting out there? How's our bank rec look right now, et cetera? Those types of things. So this Close Assistant is something that, again, is going to help you towards that more predictable closing process. And perhaps my favorite, and this one is in early adopter right now. The other two are in a phased release in general availability. So they're letting some folks have it in general availability if they want to subscribe to it, but they're still trying to keep things a little bit under the radar on it. So the Subledger Reconciliation Assistant actually is the newest feature in all of it, and it helps tackle one of the most time-consuming parts of the close, and that is reconciling the subledgers to the GL. Again, it's in early adopter right now, so even as you see there on the slide, we're just kind of going through talking about it with folks and seeing who might be good prospects for it. But it basically is going through and analyzing your GL balance. In this case, for this entity, your GL balance, your AP balance, and your variance. Below are the top 5 possible reasons for variances. See the help for more ways to troubleshoot. So this is going to give you the tieback for how all of this is going to help you and your organization, where you're off, where you need to investigate further, and then it's going to lead you in the process. And you can see down here, run AP Subledger Reconciliation Report. So again, the crux of this or the capability of this is going to be to get you through that subledger reconciliation part of your month-end close a lot faster. And again, it's also going to be right there at your fingertips. So 24/7, 365, you can pull that up and you can run through it and make sure that it works for you. I'm going to show you some of this. I'm actually going to try to get through all the slides. I think there's a place in here where there's a demo placeholder slide, but I'm actually going to try to get through all these, and then we're going to come back at the end and show you a little bit about the tools in the system. So this next one has been around for, honestly, I think for as long as I've been doing Intacct. So we're talking maybe about 14 years, if I'm not mistaken. So Nikki, if we could have this poll up there. Collaborate's been around for a really long time. I just would love to see how many folks are using it and to what degree that you're using it. Okay. Good. We got some distributed answers here today. That's good. That's good. All right. Okay, excellent. So, oh, there we go. Somebody uses it often and loves it. I like that. I like that. Okay. So predominantly we're kind of using it. Not really a whole lot of use of it though. So that's good to know. So let's talk about what Collaborate is. The easiest way for me to explain what Collaborate is to go back to something that we probably know and use and talk about every single day. And that's social media. Sage Intacct Collaborate, I tell folks, is like Facebook Messenger built into your accounting application without, hopefully, all the drama, all the pictures, and all the unnecessary, right? It is essentially a conversational tool built into all of your screens inside of Sage Intacct. An example is what you're seeing right here on this particular slide. This is a screen grab of a conversation around a general ledger transaction in a demo Intacct environment. Team, I'm looking at our latest list of open items for month end. Who can tell me what this adjustment is for? Amy, I created a support schedule that shows my calculation analysis for the entry. See attached. Bob, thanks for the backup. Entry approved. Now, let's say this happens in March. And let's say the auditors are coming in the following February, and the auditors come up, and without Collaborate, the auditors would come to Bob Schwego and they would say, Bob, what's his entry? And Bob would say, oh yeah, that was something Amy did. Oh gosh, I think that was something Amy did. Man, this was like a year ago or something like that almost. I'm doing good to remember what I had for lunch yesterday in a lot of cases, or did I eat breakfast this morning? I don't really know, right? So I don't remember what it was. So let me email Amy, let me call Amy, let me get with her, see if she's got some backup for it. I'll try to find that out for you and get back to you. And some of us, sometimes we get busy. Maybe Bob doesn't reach out. Maybe the auditors have to reach back out to him again, and it continues to kind of be a thing that sort of delays that audit. But when you have something like this, the Intacct Collaborate, and Bob sees this transaction and there is no documentation for it, Bob then comes in and posts a comment. Amy and anyone else who participated in the transaction or is tagged to the transaction or just the person posting it or what have you gets an alert, and you can actually follow transactions in here in Intacct as well, which I think is kind of funny. I'm going to follow a fixed asset adjustment transaction, maybe if I'm really proud of it. But Amy gets notifications that a question has been asked about an entry that she posted. So Amy looks at it, she reads it. Amy can just simply reply in there and attach the file right in there. So then what this is something that's attached to that transaction. So the auditors come in with Collaborate, and they look at it and they say, This entry seems to be kind of abnormal. So I'm going to do some looking and, oh, wait, hold on. We've got some conversation about this transaction down here at the bottom. It looks like Bob thought it was unusual as well, but he talked to Amy and, oh, good, here's an Excel sheet. So let me see what Amy put in this penalty support schedule Excel sheet. That's where she came up with the numbers. I couldn't agree more. Everything looks good with that. Let's move on to the next thing, right? So that's your difference in it. That's how even Collaborate, way back 14, 15 years ago, added into the system, was probably one of those first steps towards getting to a smoother year end, a smoother audit, a smoother reconciliation processes, all those things, because it gives you that ability to document conversations inside of the system. Here are some things that are qualities of Collaborate, right? So one-click visibility, you see it all. It's right there on the transaction. Constant visibility, again, it's right there. You've got you post a note or a comment about a transaction, and not only does it pop up in the software solution when the person logs in the next time, but it also can show up via email as well if you choose to. Automated alerts, group messaging, right? So it's not just one person. Bob could have pinged a group of people if he wanted to. If he's got 4 or 5 GL accountants and he wants to know where this came from, he can literally ping the GL accounting group and they will get that information to him. File attachments, you can attach files, you can attach URLs if you wanted to do something like that. So there's a lot of different ways in here that you can document your transactions and provide that visibility to anyone really who might be doing the review or going over any kind of different things inside of your environment. Okay. All right. So again, I'm going to hold and we'll go through and talk about the all of the different parts and pieces at once after I get through the slides. So next, let's talk about bank feeds. Another pop quiz, Miss Nikki, if you could. How many banks are connected to your Sage Intacct instance? And maybe banks or bank accounts, however you want to look at it. How much connectivity do you have between your bank and Intacct? Okay. All right, we got some folks with 10 plus. Nice. Nice. I like seeing folks that are taking advantage of the system. Now in singular majority, we're talking about 0 here. So that's something we need to potentially take a look at. All right, wonderful. Thank you so much for participating. So bank feeds. Bank feeds were released a couple years ago, a few years ago. It's essentially the way to say Intacct meet our checking account. Checking account meet Intacct. We want you guys to be in constant communication all the time. And in a sense here, the way that it works is that you actually do that. You go into the system, you set up through the Sage Banking Cloud a connection between Intacct and your bank. And there are many different U.S. banks, hundreds of U.S. banks, as well as banks in other countries that are connected to the Sage Banking Cloud and therefore can be connected into your Intacct environment. It is a setup configuration process. The concept of bank feeds is included as long as you are not configuring more than 200 bank accounts in any particular instance of Intacct. If you are doing more than 200, then there is a fee for it. But I should have put 200 on the pop quiz back there, 10 to 199 and then 200 plus. But as long as you're not connecting more than 200 bank or checking accounts to the system, then it is included with the software. So basically the way that it works is you connect the two pieces together, and then up to a maximum of every 4 hours, Sage Intacct will automatically reach out, grab transactions, and pull them into the bank transaction screen inside your system. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to make anything happen inside the system. You can go out and pull transactions as of the current exact moment, but it is something that it will happen by itself as well. Import transactions, streamlining some manual processes, for example, bank service fees, interest earned, those types of, excuse me, those types of things. Automated matching for daily cash insight, and then easy creation of unentered. I didn't even know that was a potential possible word, unentered, but I am going to use it now more often. Easy creation of unentered transactions. So the way that this works is you go to subscribe. You go to company admin subscriptions, and you do have to have permissions to get to this. You go to banking and payment cloud, toggle the switch. The configure page should appear, and then you want to enable bank feeds in your environment. When you click save, that's it. That's what you have to do in this particular area. So you go into your subscriptions, and you're going into your banking and payment cloud, and you're enabling bank feeds. And then you are going to connect your bank. So from here, you would go to your bank accounts, your cash accounts, your checking accounts, etc. You would go to those. You would select the appropriate account, and then you'll see an area for connections. You would then go in and select your bank and use the appropriate methodology to sign in to your bank. Takes a little bit to kind of refresh and get going. I kind of liken it to, some of the old planes, the old cars. You used to have to kind of hand crank them a little bit, right? So it takes a little bit to kind of get that going, get it warmed up, get it moving. But then from that point forward, like I said, every 4 hours at a maximum, it's going to go out and grab ungrabbed. I'm going to start using that word too. Ungrabbed transactions, and it's going to pull them down into the system. There are two ways to get the data automatically when you access the reconcile bank account page to reconcile a connected account. When you click refresh. So there's two ways here. Going into the reconcile bank account page to reconcile a connected account will refresh it, as well as when you click refresh on the banking cloud tab of the account. Okay. And we'll get a little bit more into that, and I'll show you that here too. But let's talk about some things that you can use today. Now, obviously, you can use the Sage Help powered by Copilot today, and I would recommend that you get familiar with that. You can use Collaborate, and I would definitely recommend that if you're not taking advantage of Collaborate, you look at it. If you have looked at it but really didn't see the benefit of it before, let's take another look at it and see. I think there are potentially some surprises there that you could that could benefit you come into the year, audit time, compilation time, tax return time, any of those types of things. You could get some benefit out of there. But let's talk about a couple of other real world strategies. And the first one that we're going to talk about is actually sort of a offshoot or a complement or a part of the bank feeds that we just talked about. I wanted to move this into real world strategies because I think this is something practical that you can do today. So in cash management, in bank feeds, in this area, there is this concept of create and or match rules. And basically what it means is you can set up this set of rules that can either create transactions or match transactions. And it depends on what it is you're doing in the system, where you are at the moment, what you're looking to accomplish, and things like that. But there's create rules and there's match rules inside the system. So if we talk about both of those, when does either one of those make sense, right? We have a lot of different types of transactions converging inside the bank recs. There's potentially a lot of data that could hit our cash and credit card accounts and all those types of things. But when we talk about creating or matching rules, here's a little something that I borrowed from another set of slides that I thought was a really good chart that talks about when these different types of things are appropriate, right? And I'm not going to talk about all these, but we'll hit a couple of them here. One of the easiest ones to understand is bank feeds and interest earned. So bank fees, I think I said feeds, but fees, your bank might charge you $10 a month, $15 a month. They might charge you, same theater nonprofit. A bank is now trying to charge us $5 or something every time we make a cash deposit every year, which as a nonprofit I have an issue with. But anyway, that would be a bank fee that, for example, here, when that $5 came through, I could set up a rule that would say that, for example, if the word fee is in the description, then charge it to my service charges or bank service charges GL account, create an entry for me in here to just automatically record this in the system. So now I don't have to, in the middle of my bank rec, click, do this, do that, do this, punch in some numbers, etc. I've got to create rules set up that's going to capture bank fees. And by that same token, if we earn interest on something, on a savings account, for example, then this will take that interest earned and say this create rule looks for the word interest. And maybe the payee being Bank of America or whatever the choice would be. And it's going to automatically create something that credits the money to interest earned. So a lot of these things can be done. Now, match rules may be payroll taxes, and you may have already recorded your payroll inside the system, but you might create a match rule in here where you've paid your taxes, but when it downloads the transaction from the bank, it's going to recognize the dollar amount. It's going to recognize maybe a payee name, something like that. And it's going to go ahead and match that transaction for your bank rec. So create rules, populate, and create transactions. Match rules give you a leg up on your bank reconciliation. This makes data entry easier. This makes reconciliation easier. Okay. So cash management, bank transactions screen, all of your bank fee transactions are listed here. And just as a hint, custom views, as it said right there, can be very, very helpful in this screen, whether they're based on descriptions or types of transactions or anything like that, debits, credits, interest, in anything, right? Custom views in here can often be helpful because it can be, depending on your organization, a very large list of transactions that are coming from the bank. Now, one helpful thing that we haven't talked about is that there is a more actions component. So as you're looking at your transactions in the bank transactions screen, a lot of those transactions aren't going to have a GL impact. However, if you go to more transactions, you would have the ability. Let's say a customer pays you direct. They do an ACH, they pay you direct, they pay you $5,000. You don't get notification of it for some reason. It just comes into your bank. Maybe an email address is off or wrong or something like that, but it comes into your bank. You can literally, after that transaction is downloaded, come in here and receive payments. Right? So you could pull that in and you could bring that payment into your system. You could do other receipts if you wanted to, if you got a rebate on something. If, again, here's interest earned. If you don't want to set up a rule for it, you could use something like that. Lots of different things, but this can create transactions here. It's more of a manual process as opposed to a create rule would be more automated. Here's some different ways, reasons to use the more actions feature. So create rules, some uses for that, auto create journal entries inside the system. It's good for transactions that don't need to post to the subledger and are not 1099able, right? Because we're going through bank or GL or something of that nature. We're not running it through AP. If it came through AP, you don't really want to do a create rule for it. You want to find out, maybe it's a match rule, maybe it's something else that needs to be further investigated, right? And then it's really for transactions not otherwise recorded. I typically will call these, and they don't have to be, but I will typically call these miscellaneous type transactions. So again, your fees, your interest, those types of things are some of the more common examples for create rules. But your organization obviously could have your own reasons and could have a lot of reasons. Used for any common definable. So here, journal entries to cash, bank fees, other receipts, credit card transactions, credits and returns, cash back, things like that. Match rule uses. So matching rules, again, these are tying things in together to kind of help make that bank reconciliation piece very easy. These match rules kind of pre-populate those check boxes for you so that you don't have to check everything off in the bank rec. And I mean, if you don't use create rules, my gosh, I'd have some match rules out there in really every instance of Intacct that exists in order to make that bank reconciliation process so much easier for you. Some of the examples of it would include vendor payments and credits, right? So, AP transactions and making sure that those AP checks that you've cut or ACH payments that you've made gets matched off, payroll checks, any kind of charge payoffs, anything along those lines. Really, any types of transactions would be good use cases for the match rules. And then again, just presenting this chart in a little bit bigger format for you here so that you can have this and kind of use this to guide what you do. Last but not least, GL outlier detection. So this is another piece of the system that's been around for a while, and I would argue probably the first piece of artificial intelligence inside the system. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably 5 years old, 6 years old, somewhere in there. GL outlier detection. And what it's really intended to do, or first, let's do this pop quiz here. Last one, last participation grade in the class. Did you know it existed before today? Oh, 50-50. Oh, oh. Okay, that's good. That's good. Well, I'm sorry, that's not good, but it's good for today. So after today, you're going to know it exists. And after today, you're going to want to use it. Okay. So let's talk about it. So GL outlier detection, like I said, it was the first real-time AI-powered tool for any general ledger. And really what it's there to do is to find anomalies automatically, right? Best example I can give you is I've been posting, journal entries to accrue rent inside the system or accrue something else inside the system, some type of payables due, anything along those lines. Been doing it for 2 years, $900 a month, $1,000 a month. Yesterday, I'm in the system and I'm keying things in. And, my daughter is graduating from high school and, she's got a boyfriend now. And man, I just don't like him that much. And he's going to get on my nerves. And this is not personal experience at all. And all these things are happening and I'm just super distracted right now. And I'm keying in all this stuff and 10,000 is what I keyed in instead of 1,000 or, whatever is happening, right? We're all human. Right? We're all human. So I keyed it in at 10,000, should have been 1,000. I post it. I don't notice it. But everything that I have and everything that I've keyed into the system goes through this process. So the GL outlier detection is going to look at this and it's going to say, you know what? You've been more in the $1,000 range with entries that have posted to this account around this time in the past. You've been closer to 1,000. You've never been 10,000. So I, as GL outlier detection, am going to flag these transactions. And I'm going to say this transaction has some type of anomaly. In this particular case, these combinations are unusual: account, department, location, amount. You don't usually post a lot of things to these accounts for $1. This combination is unusual. And we would like for you to take further look at this because we believe there to be a problem, right? That's the essential thing with GL outlier detection. It's free. It builds upon itself as you use the system, as it's enabled, as it has access to your history. It builds its flags, it builds what it looks for, and it gets more intelligent over time. And it looks for things to be out of place in your environment. And when it finds something it believes to be out of place, it flags it for you. And then you know that that's been flagged, and you know that's something that I need to look at to potentially see if there is a problem. So again, getting you to that continuous close, getting you to different parts and pieces of the system to be able to make sure that your experience in Sage Intacct is the best possible experience that it can be. Okay. So let's take a look here for just a moment, and I'm going to stop sharing my slides, and I am going to pull up an instance of Sage Intacct. So give me just a second here to switch screens, and we will jump into it. All right. Stop sharing and share. And I know there was a question that came up earlier. Nikki will grab that as soon as we can. But I wanted to show you inside of here, if nothing else, some of the Copilot stuff that's available. And actually, I apologize. I need to change users. So I'm going to log back in here as Emma Penny. Going to get logged in here. So Emma in the system has a couple of things. Emma's the CFO of the organization, so she's got some goodies that not everybody else has. That's why I had to get logged in here. First of all, if I go under help and support and search help, you notice the new little icon here that's appeared over the last few months. That is the Copilot icon. You can kind of see it up here as well too. That means search help is now powered by Copilot. Hi, Emma. So glad you're back. I'm ready to help you with Sage Intacct. Here are some sample questions to make your searches more successful. And by golly, if I wanted to do one of these, then all I would have to do is click on it. It'll pop it down in here, and I hit send, sends it off to Sage Copilot, and Sage Copilot comes back and gives me a English worded, shouldn't say English, a language-specific worded response that will guide you through the process, and also then gives you links to help in these certain areas as well, which again, I think is some of the best help involved included in any accounting system out there. But it walks you through the process in plain language and then gives you the additional help here. So again, for example, how do I use Intacct Collaborate? And it's going to think here for a minute. And of course, as you're doing a demonstration, it thinks much more slowly, right? Okay, so that one is taking too long to think about that. But this is basically how it works. You come in, you type your responses into the system. It gives you feedback for how to do it again. It gives you in plain language feedback, but then gives you links to the help as well. And don't forget to rate the help that you receive in here. And if you were to say no, they would give you the ability to give additional feedback on it. And that's really super important in helping them continue to develop the features in the system. The other thing to show you here real quick is the actual Sage Copilot. So this is a bit of the variance analysis. Again, this is a paid feature, would have to be added to your subscription, but I can do things like show budget variance analysis year to date. And so here, I am taking a look at year-to-date budget variance analysis, and obviously year-to-date actuals, year-to-date budget. We're looking at something really wrong right in here. But of course, as we drill into it now, there's no budget. So perhaps there's something going on in the system that's not quite right. But as it shows me this, you have additional choices that you can use here to push the narrative, right? Describe the variance, and it will work on a description down here for that variance, right? Again, language specific response, view financial reports, etc. Okay. So love to talk to you a little bit more about the Copilot feature. It is intended to put information at your fingertips. You notice when I click here, it takes me to the report that's behind this number. If I click here, it takes me to the report that is behind this number. And we obviously had a very large salary and wages expense here posted at this point in time, right? Okay. So lots of things coming through Sage Pilot. Bank feeds really quickly. If you go under company and if you have access to it, company subscriptions. First of all, here's where you would turn on GL outlier detection. You would turn it on here. Please feel free to reach out to us if you're not exactly sure about it, though. We'd be more than happy to help you. It's a very quick process. You also could then come down here and turn on Intacct Collaborate as well. And then last but not least is going to be Sage Cloud Services, which would be the banking piece. So this would be where you would turn on the banking. So enabling all of this is inside of company admin subscriptions. That's enabling it. That's a little bit of the configuration of it. For example, here with Sage Cloud Services, this is where you would check the box to enable bank feeds. From that point forward, inside of cash management, checking, and if I go into one of these accounts, I have banking cloud, and this is where I would set up the banking cloud for this particular account. Now, this one's already been connected to the Sage Demo Bank. If it hadn't, this would be the place where you would go ahead and make that connection. Okay. Once it gets connected, then the transactions will come into this window here. Bank transactions, as they were to populate this screen, you would then have the ability to take them to create transactions, to do the more actions. They could be processed through the create rules, all of those different types of things. But this screen would be where they would come into the system here in your live environment. Okay. All right, Nikki, I think I saw a question come through.
You did, in fact, see a question come through, and that question was, how do you access Collaborate?
Okay, great. So kind of a two-part thing. First, you come back to company admin subscriptions. And I'll just give the caveat in here if I didn't fully say it before. If you enable something in the screen, there is a chance you will be charged a fee. So please reach out to us first. If you have any questions about anything in this window, pre-sales, client success, anyone like that would be more than happy to talk to you, no charge, kind of discuss whether there is a fee for it or not. But you would come in here and you would look for the Intacct Collaborate, and you would want to turn it on, which it is turned on in this environment because that's green. And then there are a couple of configuration questions. The biggest one being, are you connecting to Salesforce? If you're not, then you would just use it for Intacct. If you are, then again, there probably something we might want to talk about. From that standpoint, then it's just something that you see on your transactions, whether it's AP bills, GL entries, it would be down at the bottom of the screen, and it would be a conversational box. Just like I said, Facebook Messenger, anything like that, it'll be a conversational box down at the bottom of the screen. I don't believe that it's fully had time to enable in this environment, but let's go look. AP, if I add a new AP bill, no, it's not fully enabled in this environment. It takes a day or two maybe to really enable in your environment, but it would be right down here at the bottom, and it would be a conversational box. And then you start using it from there. You would also get notifications up here in this area. So it's partially enabled. That's why I'm getting that message. You would get notifications up here that you have new things, new conversations to look at, and you would also be able to get emails about Collaborate conversations as well. Okay. If you have any questions about anything that I've talked about today, please reach out. I am always more than happy to discuss any kind of geeky, crazy accounting conversations, accounting technology, software conversations, anything like that. So if you have any questions, please reach out. Love to talk with you about it. And thank you. Thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate it.
Philip, in our last 3 minutes, I believe you had one more slide, didn't you?
Oh, that's right. I am so sorry, Nikki. I did. Let's go right here. Yes. So for those of you that are on this call, I don't think I can present in Teams from that slide, so I'll have to skip to it. But for those of you that are on this call, I am, even though I almost forgot, without the help of my lovely friend, Nikki, we're very super excited at Dean Dorton to give you all a preview of our new client referral program. So this is official. It's actually on our website. You see the link here within the slide that I've got up on the screen. So you can type that in, or you can, Nikki put it into the chat. You can also use your camera, you point it at this QR code and it'll take you there. But we'll give you, if you introduce a colleague to us, that you will get a $25 gift card after they meet with Dean Dorton and have a true need for an accounting solution. And this doesn't mean it like an imminent need, like they're going to buy something next week, but they do need to have a true need for a new accounting solution. This can't be just your hairstylist Barbara that you're kind of giving us her information for. But if they do have a true need, $25 gift card. And then if they do become a client, we will pay you $500 for your time and your trouble for making the introduction to us. So send us a lead. If it works out, it's $525 in your pocket. If it doesn't work out, it's $25 in your pocket. So, and you go to that website, populate that form, give us the information, and we'll keep you up to date in the process and make sure that you get the gift cards and such that you deserve as well. Thank you, Nikki.
Thanks, Philip.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I really appreciate your time. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out.